Hello everybody, welcome back to a new challenge of the page Adventjs. In this time we are tackling challenge 17, which is in this case a medium level challenge. So let's see how hard or easy it is. So first, as usual, let's read through the instructions. So the name of the challenge is called Green Chest Bombs. So these are the instructions. The Grinch has been up to his tricks in the North Pole and has planted explosive cold bombs in the elves' toy factories. He wants all the toys to be rendered useless, and that's why he has left a grid where some cells has explosive coal, true, and others are empty, false. The elves need your help to map the dangerous areas. Each empty cell should display a number indicating how many explosive cold bombs there are in the adjacent positions, including diagonals. Okay, so if we take a look at the examples, let me zoom it a little bit. We have an array of array, and each array has boolean values. So in the first element, the boolean value is true, but the result is the one that we have over here. So for the first item of the first array, we only have one as a result, as a value, because we only have one bomb in the adjacent cells. So the adjacent cells are the ones that are like all the diagonals and all the how can I say, the cells that are next to them, no matter if they are in the same um, no matter if they are in they are or no are or they aren't in the same row or not. Well, you know what I mean. So let me try to illustrate that better in Illustrator, in Scalidra, I mean. So this is basically the potential grid. Okay, so let me wrap this into a group. Let's imagine, I don't know, we are in we are checking this cell, right? So let's use another color, and we need to check if the all how many bombs there are in the adjacent cells, and those adjacent cells could be as a asterisk shape. So something like this. Let me try to illustrate that. Something like this. Let me try to do another line and another line and another line. So if you take a look at this example, we need to count. Let me see. Okay, we need to count all the bombs that are in the adjacent cell. So in this case, from this current index or this current cell, we need to check if there is a bomb over here, 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 basically. So in this case, in the middle of the grid, we will have only one bomb, because this is the only one which is true. So let's check that if that is correct. So for example, in the middle we have only one because there is only one bomb. So in the second element of the first array we have two, because if we move this to like if we move this like this, we will need to check these areas. So for example, we have 0, 0, 1, 0, and 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So that's why we have 2 here. So I'm gonna split this screen so I can have that how can I say diagram handy and to make it easier for me to think about the logic. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, if I am not mistaken, is to map. Well, obviously we need to return something, we need to return the grid, and we need to map it. Yeah, so then we need the first element of this will be the row. Let's call it current row. And the second element will be the index. Let's call it current row index. Okay, so inside of it, we need to map again, but in this case, the current row. So the current row data map, and in the first element of that will be the current cell and the current cell index. Okay, so we need to check, for example, let's imagine, let's try to create several constants. For example, let's create I don't know, the previous cell, which gonna be current row that current cell index -1 cons next cell gonna be current row that current cell index +1, and the current cell index, well, we already have that, but only the index, which is this one. Well, we have already the current cell, I mean. So now we need to check, for example, if also as well we need to initialize a counter that will tell us how many bombs there are in the adjacent positions. So let's call this as bombs counter, and let's initialize that at 0. So let's do several conditions. So the first one could be, I don't know, if previous cell, then bombs counter. Let's increase the value of the bombs counter by 1. So we are only using previous cell because they are gonna be Boolean's value. So this is basically the same of doing this. Well, let me check my keyboard layout. I mean, this gonna be something like this, or something like this. But just to make it shorter, I think it is understandable that way. So yeah, so let's continue with the next condition. It could be the next cell. So if the next cell is true, we need to increase the bombs counter. So here we are covering the current row. Okay, so yeah, but not quite, but because, well, this it's okay because we are already telling that the previous cell is in the current row. Awesome. So let's imagine if we are here in this position, we already covered this cell and this other cell. Now we need to cover the next. Well, let's move this to the middle of the array because I think it will be easier. Something like this. Let me move this to this position and this to this position. So let's imagine we are here at this position of the array, and we already checked this cell and this other cell. So we need to check now the cells of the previous row and the cells of the next row. So let's create other constants to save the previous and the next row. So the previous row is gonna be I think it will be create that current row index -1. Then comes next row will be greet current row index +1, and then we need to check, for example, let's start with the previous row. So for the previous row, that for example, let's create here, for example, other constants which are for example, previous cell index it will be equal to this, and const next cell index it will be equal to this, but instead of -1 it will be +1. So let's replace this value over here so it is clearer. And now that we have that those constants, let's use them. So the first one is for the previous row, we need to check the previous cell. So let's imagine we are here and the previous row is this and the previous cell. So let's imagine the current cell index is 1 and the previous cell index is 0. So from the previous row we need to check this index. So for that, basically we need to do this, and if that is true, we need to increase the bumps counter. Now if the previous, well, let's repeat this code, right? So next will be the current cell index, and then let's repeat this, and this is gonna be next cell index. And now we need to do the same thing but with the next row, next row. And I think that's all, because we don't need to check the current index in the current row, only all the indices on the previous and the next row. So yeah, I think that's all. Actually, we are not using well, it seems. Okay, it is marked as it is not used, but yeah, we need to return that in this map, which is bumps counter, and then in this map we need to return this map. It seems we didn't use, or we didn't have to use this current cell variable, so let's call it as an underscore. So I think that makes sense like this. Let's see if that is working. Let me close this splitted screen to check the solution. So let me expand this a little bit and let's submit the solution. Okay, cannot read properties of undefined reading -1. Okay, so in those cases when we are in -1, so for example, let's imagine we are in the current row index and it is 0, and 0 minus 1 is, well, -1, and this is gonna be undefined. So the previous row, let's do a check over here, which is If the previous row exists, then check the cells. And I think we can do the same thing here. If the next row exists, let's check the cells. So let's see now. Awesome, it worked, but we got only 1 star. Well, I am not so proud of my result. I don't know if we can simplify that even better, because okay. That's interesting. I don't know, maybe we can try, for example, a 4 to try to... Let's use the 4 minutes remaining to try to improve the quality or the points of this challenge. So let's use, for example, I don't know, a 4, which we will have the current row index equal to 0, and then, well, I think I will last too much, so let's keep the video until here. Yeah, if you are watching this video, tell me how would you have done this exercise, what do you think I could have done differently in order to have a better result or a better score. So I'm gonna leave this video until here, as I already mentioned to you. So thank you for watching this video, and I see you in the next one. So thank you and take care. Peace.